All right, the first is direct substitution. It's exactly what it says, and that is if you just plug that number in. So you're basically evaluating your function for -2. If you're doing it by hand, you could just plug it in. Easiest thing here would be to use a calculator. And what are some ways that you could evaluate this? You guys remember? All right, so if you type your expression, use the with key, which is the vertical bar, and you tell it x is equal to -2. And when you do that, you get your answer of 4. And so there's one possibility. You can use the with key. What else could you do? The what? You can go to the Y editor. So another possibility is, I'm going to copy this stuff here. And you can go into your Y editor, and you can copy the whole thing, the whole expression, 2x cubed plus 5x squared plus 4x plus 8 into your Y editor. So now I've stored it as my y1, and so I can now just use my y1 of -2, my function notation on the home screen. So I can go y1 of -2, and when I do that, it confirms also that I get 4. So you can use the with key, you can use the Y editor. You could just physically insert a -2 everywhere there's an instead of the x. So you could actually just type it in directly as well. Any of those work. Whatever works for you is okay. My suggestion, as you get to where you're going to be asked to find information about the graph of these, you might as well just enter it into the Y editor if it's going to ask you to graph it anyway, because you can now access it on the home screen as a function. You can look at it in the graph as well. Okay, so it's a useful thing to go ahead and put it into your Y editor so that you can manipulate it other ways. Okay, let's talk about synthetic substitution. Okay, again, this is something that you won't really have to do because you can use your calculators to do it. If it asks you to do it this way, it's not a big deal. You can try it if you'd like. But when you look at synthetic substitution, here's kind of the steps that you will follow. Okay, so what you'll do is you'll write your expression. Okay, again, this first step, optional. Okay, if there happens to be any terms that are missing, so if this went like x to the 5th and then it went straight to x squared, you'd have to leave spaces for x to the 4th and x to the 3rd. And so any powers that are missing, you want to leave a space for them. And then what you're going to do with your synthetic division is you're simply going to write out the coefficients. So my coefficient for the x cubes is 2, then +5, +4, +8. Okay. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take the value that you are plugging in. So we're going to take our -2, and you're going to do the following calculations. Each column you're going to drop straight down and combine any terms that exist there. So 2 is just going to drop down. And then diagonally you're going to multiply that by whatever the number is out front. So what is 2 times this -2? You're going to write that in the next column and then combine down. So what's 5 minus 4? 1. 1 times the -2 is -2. 4 minus a 2 is 2. You're going to multiply by a -2, you get -4. And then add down, you get 4. Whatever you come up with at the end is the value that you would get when you plug it in.